How can a physician differentiate between a Mobitz type 1, Wenckebach, block and a Mobitz type 2 block based on ECG readings? Are there distinct patterns or criteria to identify each type? Here, physicians can differentiate between a Mobitz type 1, Wenckebach, block and a Mobitz type 2 block by analyzing the electrocardiogram, ECG, readings and recognizing distinct patterns. Here's how they approach this differentiation. 1. Mobitz type 1 Wenckebach block. Regular PR intervals. In a Mobitz type 1 block, the PR intervals, the time between the atrial and ventricular contractions, are typically regular. Progressive block. The ECG will show a progressive lengthening of the PR interval until a heartbeat is blocked. This means that each successive PR interval becomes longer. No QRS changes. The QRS complexes, representing ventricular contraction, remain unchanged and show no signs of abnormality. 2. Mobitz type 2 block. Irregular PR intervals. Unlike Mobitz type 1, the PR intervals in a Mobitz type 2 block are irregular, and there is no clear pattern of progressive lengthening. Abrupt block. The ECG will reveal an abrupt and complete heart block, with a sudden termination of the P wave followed by a prolonged PR interval, and a subsequent QRS complex. Changes in QRS complex. The QRS complexes often demonstrate changes in morphology, indicating ventricular conduction abnormalities. Additionally, here are some key criteria and patterns to help with the differentiation. 1. Consistent PR interval change. In Mobitz type 1, there is a consistent change in PR intervals leading up to a blocked beat. This change is gradual and predictable. In contrast, Mobitz type 2 shows unpredictable changes in PR intervals. 2. RR interval change. Mobitz type 2 often demonstrates irregular RR intervals, while Mobitz type 1 typically maintains relatively stable RR intervals. 3. SD segment and T-wave changes. Mobitz type 2 blocks may exhibit SD segment and T-wave changes due to the associated ventricular conduction abnormalities. These changes are less common in Mobitz type 1 blocks. 4. Symptomatic versus asymptomatic. Mobitz type 1 blocks are often asymptomatic, while Mobitz type 2 blocks can lead to symptoms like heart palpitations, dizziness, or even syncope, fainting. To confirm the diagnosis, physicians may also rely on additional tests, such as Holter monitoring, which involves continuous ECG recording over an extended period. This test can provide more comprehensive data to analyze the heart's rhythm, and help distinguish between the two types of second-degree AV blocks. Differentiating between these blocks is crucial, as it guides the management approach. Mobitz type 1 blocks are often managed conservatively, while Mobitz type 2 blocks pose a more immediate risk and may warrant prompt intervention.